My present happiness is all I see. My present happiness is all I see. Thank you all so much for joining me today. I'm Willie from the Ozarks, and we're ready for our October the 17th lesson in A Course in Miracles workbook for students from the original edition here on 2022. Lesson 290, My present happiness is all I see. Unless I look upon what is not there, my present happiness is all I see. Unless I look upon what is not there, my present happiness is all I see. Eyes that begin to open see at last. And I would have Christ's vision come to me this very day. What I perceive without God's own correction for the sight I made is frightening and painful to behold. Yet I would not allow my mind to be deceived by the belief the dream I made is real an instant longer. This the day I seek my present happiness and look on nothing else except the thing I seek. My present happiness is all I see. With this resolve, I come to you and ask your strength to hold me up today, while I but seek to do your will. I cannot fail to hear, or you cannot fail to hear me, Father. What I ask have you already given me, and I am sure that I will see my happiness today. My present happiness is all I see. That prayer again. With this resolve, I come to you and ask your strength to hold me up today, while I but seek to do your will. You cannot fail to hear me, Father. What I ask have you already given me, and I am sure that I will see my happiness today. My present happiness is all I see. Just love that first sentence. Unless I look upon what is not there, my present happiness is all I see. Okay, in our text reading, we're ready in chapter 28, The Undoing of Fear, section 6, the alternate to dreams of fear. The alternate to dreams of fear. Paragraph 47. What is a sense of sickness but a sense of limitation? Of a splitting off and separating from, a gap perceived between ourselves and what is seen as health. Let's read that again. What is a sense of sickness but a sense of limitation, of a splitting off and separating from, a gap perceived between ourselves and what is seen as health. He's been talking a lot about this little gap. It's an illusion, but we see it because that's where we think we are, and we want to reach to the place where we really are. And it seems to be a gap. The good is seen outside the evil in, and thus is sickness separating off the self from good and keeping evil in. God is the alternate to dreams of fear. Who shares in them can never share in him, but who withdraws his mind from sharing them is sharing him. There is no other choice. Except you share it, nothing can exist. And you exist because God shares his will with you, that his creation might create. 48. It is the sharing of the evil dreams of hate and malice, bitterness and death, of sin and suffering, of pain and loss that makes them real. Sharing of what makes them real. Unshared, they are perceived as meaningless. The fear is gone from them because you did not give them your support. Where fear has gone, their love must come because there are but these alternatives. Where fear has gone, their love must come because There are but these alternatives, fear or love. Where one appears, the other disappears, and which you share becomes the only one you have. You have the one which you accept, because it is the only one you want to have. You share no evil dreams if you forgive the dreamer and perceive that he is not the dream he made. And so he cannot be a part of yours, from which you both are free. Forgiveness separates the dreamer from the evil dream and thus releases him. 49. Remember, if you share an evil dream, you will believe you are the dream you share. If you share an evil dream, you see guilt somewhere or see sickness somewhere, you believe you are the dream you share. You're in that gap. And fearing it, you will not want to know your own identity because you think that it is fearful. And you will deny yourself and walk upon an alien ground which your Creator did not make, and where you seem to be, in quotes, something you are not. You will make war upon yourself, which seems to be your enemy, and will attack your brother as a part of what you hate. There is no compromise. There is no compromise. You are the self or an illusion. What can be between illusion and the truth? A middle ground where you can be a thing that is not you must be a dream and cannot be the truth. And that's that little gap. A middle ground, he calls it here, where you can be a thing that is not you, must be a dream and cannot be the truth. 50. You have conceived a little gap between illusions and the truth, to be that place where all your safety lies and where yourself is safely hidden by what you have made. Here is a world established that is sick, and this the world the body's eyes perceive. Here are the sounds it hears, the voices which its ears were made to hear. Yet sights and sounds the body can perceive are meaningless. It cannot see nor hear. It does not know what seeing is, what listening is for. It is as little able to perceive as it can judge or understand or know. Its eyes are blinded, its ears are deaf. It cannot think, and so it cannot have effects. 51. What is there God created to be sick? And what that he created not can be? Let not your eyes behold a dream, your ears bear witness to illusion. They were made to look upon a world that is not there, to hear the voice that can make no sound. Yet are there other sounds and other sights which can be seen and heard and understood. For eyes and ears are senses without sense. For eyes and ears are senses without sense. And what they see and hear, they but report. It is not they that hear and see, but you, who put together every jagged piece, each senseless scrap and shred of evidence, and make a witness to the world you want. Let not the body's ears and eyes perceive these countless fragments seen within the gap which you imagined, and let them persuade their makers his imaginings were real. 52. Creation proves reality because it shares the function all creation shares. It is not made of little bits of glass, a piece of wood, a thread, or two perhaps, all put together to attest its truth. Reality does not depend on this. There is no gap which separates the truth from dreams and from illusions. Truth has left no room for them in any place or time. For it fills every place and every time, and makes them wholly indivisible. So that little gap is of our own making, our own imagining, and it doesn't really exist. If we can just let things be. Wow, that sure does speak well of our lesson today. My present happiness is all I see. In that first sentence again, unless I look upon what is not there, my present happiness is all I see. Well, let's quit looking into that little gap, or into that what we think is real, made by our own imagining. Let me read that paragraph again. Creation proves reality because it shares the function all creation shares. It is not made of little bits of glass, a piece of wood, a thread or two perhaps, all put together to attest its truth. Reality does not depend on this. There is no gap which separates the truth from dreams and from illusions. Truth has left no room for them in any place or time, for it fills every place and every time and makes them wholly indivisible. 53. You who believe there is a little gap between you, do not understand that it is here that you are kept as prisoner in a world perceived to be existing here. The world you see does not exist because the place where you perceive it is not real. The gap is carefully concealed in fog, and misty pictures rise to cover it with vague, uncertain forms and changing shapes, forever unsubstantial and unsure. Yet in the gap is nothing. And there are no awesome secrets and no darkened tombs where terror rises from the house of death. Look at the little gap, and you behold the innocence and emptiness of sin that you will see within yourself when you have lost the fear of recognizing love. You know, I was just thinking a lot about how that people that tend to annoy us, if we'll just kind of just let it be. You know, don't make a lot of effort to avoid them. Matter of fact, reach out to them in love even though they are avoiding you. Because even though they're avoiding you, or I was going to say, even though you're trying to avoid them or you dislike them, that's the little gap in the keeping it alive. And all of the ideas that you've associated with that idea that those people are not trustworthy or not good to be around. Well, change your way of thinking and just accept love, and that little gap will melt away, and the Holy Spirit will give you a new picture that will be one of extreme joy and beauty. Okay, let's go take a look now at our associated reading under My Present Happiness is All I See, which is it's been our last time we'll read it in this year. What is the Holy Spirit? I mean, you can read it more, but we'll have completed the 10 readings. What is the Holy Spirit? But before I read it, let me tell you a little bit more about planting blackberries, the Rubus fruticosuses, and your allegheniensises. And in the ediblelandscaping.com, I'm go on and tell you more about his planting recommendations or theirs. Mulch. It is much easier to grow blackberries if they are mulched. Mulches are applied from 4 to 6 inches deep, either to the row areas alone or to the whole soil surface. Straw, old hay, sawdust, and shavings and wood chips may be used, but should be weed-free. You know, the problem with a lot of sawdust is that it gets so tight that it doesn't let the rain work itself in. So be aware of that. I had a blueberry grower that told me that he quit using sawdust even though it was free for him at the time, because he felt like the water, it just created a surface as it compacted. So you might have to loosen that up if you are using sawdust so the water can get in it occasionally. I like wood chips if they're available. Mulch should be applied sometime between the late fall and early spring when the soil moisture is plentiful. I'm not sure that's absolutely a requirement, but it certainly does help preserve the moisture. Mulch, in other words, if you have some mulch and can get it on your soil any time of the year, it'd be beneficial. But he's saying the best time is between fall and early spring, when the soil moisture is plentiful. Mulch can act as a fertilizer as well. You know, as the mulch on the bottom decomposes what's touching the ground, that'll work as a fertilizer. Mulch can act as a fertilizer as well as it decomposes. Adding manure in the winter months to existing mulch is a great idea. Follow instructions on the bag or sprinkle it lightly on the total area of your planting. And what I like to do is lay cardboard down to stop all the things coming up through it. Put some compost or manure on the cardboard and then put 4 to 6 inches of mulch, and then go in and just cut out the areas where you're going to plant. You don't have to till that way. You don't have to, you'll probably want to mow first so that you got so your cardboard can lay close to the ground. But that's a really nice way to not disturb the soil, allows the funguses and to continue to grow and not be ripped out and disturbed, which is really good. Okay, what is the Holy Spirit? Let's take a look at that under our lesson for today, which is my present happiness is all I see. The Holy Spirit mediates between illusions and the truth. As he must bridge the gap between reality and dreams, perception leads to knowledge through the grace that God has given him, to be his gift to everyone who turns to him for truth. Across the bridge that he provides are dreams all carried to the truth, to be dispelled before the light of knowledge. There are sights and sounds forever laid aside, and where they were perceived before, forgiveness has made possible perception's tranquil end. The goal the Holy Spirit sets is just this end of dreams. For sights and sounds must be translated from the witnesses of fear to those of love. And when this is entirely accomplished, learning has achieved the only goal it has in truth. For learning, as the Holy Spirit guides it to the outcome he perceives for it, becomes the means to go beyond itself, to be replaced by the eternal truth. If you but knew how much your Father yearns to have you recognize your sinlessness, you would not let his voice appeal in vain, nor turn away from his replacement for the fearful images and dreams you made. The Holy Spirit understands the means you made by which you would attain what is forever unattainable, and if you offer them to him, he will employ the means you made for exile to restore your mind to where it truly is at home. From knowledge where he has been placed by God, the Holy Spirit calls to you to let forgiveness rest upon your dreams and be restored to sanity and peace of mind. Without forgiveness will your dreams remain to terrify you, and the memory of all your Father's love will not return to signify the end of dreams has come. Accept your Father's gift. It is a call from love to love that it be but itself. The Holy Spirit is his gift by which the quietness of heaven is restored to God's beloved Son. Would you refuse to take the function of completing God when all he wills is that you be complete? And yesterday I was telling you just a little bit about how that I'm learning like you are, and that we're all in this together, and that I hope that we can watch each other awaken. And that's what this is all about, is to awaken to our true identity, which is sinless, holy, one with God, the Christ moving freely and happily in this world. Thank you so much for being here. My present happiness is all I see. Unless I look upon what is not there, my present happiness is all I see. Eyes that begin to open see at last. And I would have Christ's vision come to me this very day. What I perceive without God's own correction, for the sight I made, is frightening and painful to behold. Yet I would not allow my mind to be deceived by the belief the dream I made is real an instant longer. This the day I seek my present happiness, and look on nothing else except the thing I seek. Wow, today we're going to look for our present happiness instead of the dreams we've made. And we're going to use all of our prior learning to help us do that. Like, one I used a lot is, there's a whole bunch of them, but I tend to tell myself the lessons when I'm in those affirmations, those titles. They really come in good, like I can elect to change all thoughts that hurt. Well, I've been using that one a lot lately. Forgiveness is the key to happiness. That's a good one. You can draw on those ideas, and that's why we've been studying them, so we'll use them. Even though we're only using my present happiness is all I see, that lesson for today, you still can use what's in your mind to make that even more real and make it come into focus, is what I'm trying to say. Unless I look upon what is not there, my present happiness is all I see. Eyes that begin to open see at last, and I would have Christ's vision come to me this very day. What I perceive without God's own correction for the sight I made is frightening and painful to behold. Yet I would not allow my mind to be deceived by the belief the dream I made is real an instant longer. This the day I seek my present happiness, and look on nothing except the thing I seek. With this resolve I come to you and ask your strength to hold me up today, while I but seek to do your will. You cannot fail to hear me, Father. What I ask have you already given me, and I am sure that I will see my happiness today. My present happiness is all I see. My present happiness is all I see.